Hello, my name is Rob Garner. I'm a computer programming instructor, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to use the interactive server-side rendering mode for Blazor. So I already have a Blazor application created here, and I'm going to create a new page, a Razor component, and I'm going to call this interactive server side demo. Oh, I usually like to put the word page on my pages. Hold on one second. Okay, so it should work. So right now we just have a static page. I'm going to put an @page directive. I'll just call ISR interactive server side rendering mode demo. And I'm going to run it. I'm hitting F5. And of course we're going to go to that page, and I've got a page. So right now this by default is static server-side rendered because my page is in the static or in the server-side application. This is the WASM client-side application. This is the server-side application. Because my page is located here, by default it just renders as static server-side. So we want to apply a render mode. And so if we look at the documentation on Microsoft, you'll find here it tells you how to use the render mode attribute or directive and apply interactive server. So we're going to do that. And what this allows us to do is now put some components on the page. So let's just do some basic components. We'll create a text box. Try to do this as minimally as possible. And then I'll create a button. And we'll create some text. So just do that here. I'll go ahead and build these first. So we need some place to store information. So in Blazor, what we can do is we can create some variables in the code section. And so I will create a string called text. Try to make this as generic as possible. And we'll create a private void button clicked method. and we'll set text equal to clicked. And we'll display that here in a paragraph tag. And so we have some HTML elements here. And wherever you see an @ that's C# code. And in this case, we are assigning the button click event to onClick, or button click method to onClick. And then inside of here, we're saying, hey, just render this string at this location. Initially, when this page loads, it's going to display, please click the button. And then when we click on the button, it'll call this method and change the text to clicked. The page should automatically detect that this is a change, and it will re-render this page with that change. And actually, what's going to happen, because this is interactive server mode, the page here is actually going to, when we click on it, it's going to tell via SignalR connection, tell our server, hey, the user just clicked the button. On the server, it's going to do this render this code here where it'll change the text to click. It's going to look at what that would change on the user's view, and it's going to send a diff back to the browser to update the user's view. So what we're going to see is we're going to click the button and it's just going to change it, but it's actually going back to our server to generate that change. So that's what interactive server does for us. So let's run this. And we'll go to that page. And we can see it says clicked. Now, it'd be really cool if we could take this text and display it here. So the way we do that, and this is generally how you're going to work with interactive server, is you're going to create variables. And really these default, I believe, to private. But what would this input hold? Well, it would hold some text. I've already used the keyword text, so I'll just call this user input. And we'll make this one nullable because since we aren't initializing, it could be null to begin with. And in here, we are going to say @bind value equals, and we're going to specify that user input field. So this is now bound with that. Whatever the user types in here is going to be stored here. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll say clicked, and we'll change this to include that message. And so we're going to bring in the user input, and let's see what that looks like. We can see the message, whatever we type here, is being brought through this function, and this function has access to our controls. So that kind of gives you a basic idea of how this works. Can we turn this into something a little bit more useful? Let's do a basic calculator page, since that kind of is representative of a lot of things we might do in a program where we're getting user input, doing some modification with that input, and then displaying a result. So we might do something like this. equal is another text box. Actually, let's make a calculation. So it'll be a number. We'll bring in a numeric input, and we'll change this to a float. We'll call it num1. So we've got two numbers. And we're no longer doing this, but we'll need two values. So let's double this up. So we've got our num1 and our num2. We click, and we'll just say num1 times num2. And maybe just to make it a little bit more elaborate, obviously we could do this all in one, but I think this starts looking a little bit more like something we might see. Because these are nullable, I have to make this one nullable. And so what we have is we have two numbers, and on click, and now we see that we got the results. 5 times 8 is 40. 100 times 8 is 800. So that is the basics of using our demo and using interactive server. Thank you very much.